such a nice day to take a walk in the malevolent shrine. Wait a second, who's that? Sukuna, is that you? Hello everyone and welcome to another video. The other day I was thinking to myself that now that JJK season 3 is over, why don't we have a review and go through all the dramas that happened through this season. As you may know, because I assume you haven't been living under a rock, this season had huge controversies. Huge ones. So we are going to go through them all and then analyze them. Analyze, did I say it correctly? Whatever. So with no further talking, let's go! So here's a quick recap on all the controversies and dramas that happened. Controversies already existed because many people didn't like the new animation style and made a lot of opinions about it. But we can say that the actual drama happened at the Zenin Massacre episode, where the drama went so hard that the whole world was almost divided in half and Japanese decided they can't coexist with foreigners anymore. Or that is how they made it look like. Actually, the drama wasn't even that deep, nothing important really happened. So here is what actually happened. A person commented a tweet on this episode saying they didn't like the music, it was not good, blah blah blah. Another tweeted that the season rated 9.8 overseas, but the Calling Game Rules episode got a 7.7, which made the person come to the conclusion that Western audience only like fight and overseas, which made another person come to the conclusion that they can't coexist with foreigners anymore. Things got viral very fast. In TikTok and other apps, we could also see a lot of controversies and people arguing in comments. There are huge arguments about Naoya and Maki and Toji. Some say Maki is weaker than Toji and even weaker than Naoya, and she's only one using plot, which I will talk about. And there are some few other things about this whole Naoya and Maki situation thing in TikTok, which I won't get into because it will get far from our actual topic, and I think that they're not actually problems and mostly people just trying to rage at each other for no reason as they usually do. Like seriously, what's going on with TikTok? They want to rip each other's throat apart. But anyways, there were some other problems like Yuta Slander, which manga readers claimed it should cease to exist in this season, but fans seem to just hate the season more and more, and for each episode they had something to complain about, even something as ridiculous as a face angle. But that was just a quick recap, and now let's go open it. So the first problem, the animation. This one has actually been going on since season 2 when the artist style changed, but I guess fans expected it to change and go back to season 1's artist style for season 3, but now with their expectations not coming true, they have gotten mad. Two things have changed in JJK's animation. First is the art style, which changed since season 2. If you compare characters and pictures from season 1 or JJK 0 to season 2, you can see the difference. Less details are being drawn, less lighting, less shadowing. On the other hand, the focus is mostly on the fight scenes. In season 3, this change of focus intenses, as we see the animation style is speedy and messy and driven with the past 2 seasons. If you ask me, I'll say this animation style is absolutely amazing. Perhaps most of the hate that it's getting is because this animation style is new and it hadn't been used in anime before. Although I think MAPPA Studio made a risk because they already knew how people reacted to Sukuna vs Mahoraka fight, which had a similar animation style. If you remember, that time fans were also divided. A part of them hated it and a part of them thought of it as the best animation style ever. Although the real problem everyone have is the art style. I actually agree with this one. The lack of detailing and lighting does indeed take away some feelings from the show and make it dull. But we have to consider that this much detail and that type of animation would have been really hard to coexist. The animators have to see their families after all. In JJK's animation style, the movements are way too fast and also the messiness helps the action animation. And maybe the change in the art style is also to show that JJK, which was a fun and energetic story in season 1, now has turned into a sad and dramatic story, and the more we go on, the sadder it gets. Some fans have also complained about the studio not adapting the manga correctly. I think all of these things episodes were amazing. The anime is not going to be the exact copy of the manga. It can have some creativity. And the anime didn't change the story, it just changed some angles. Also, you have seen some hate comments about the intro and outro, like how it's boring and instead of actually animating scenes, they only put some pictures of the characters and only a little amount of animation. But I have to say, first of all, that the intro song is absolutely amazing and bomb, and I love it. Unfortunately, I haven't seen any hate comments on that one. But about the pictures and intro, I gotta say that these images all have meanings and they are mostly all inspired by famous paintings. And although I have to admit that it's not as energetic as the previous season, especially the outro, but JJK has taken a depressing path and it doesn't have the same mood and vibes anymore, especially after the Shibuya incident. And I think the outro actually shows that trauma very well. And it's a sign and symbolism of what has happened and how Yuji is feeling. Another problem is the episode 7 hate, which many say it's boring, it's not fun, but on the other hand, Japanese liked it and used it as a back by a Western audience only like action scenes, which I have explained in the intro. But this episode is actually necessary. This episode is the story itself, it's explaining the plot. Without it, the audience would have been really confused about the calling games and how it works. I think the hate on this episode is just genuinely ridiculous. If you watch anime just for the sake of action scenes, then you're the one who needs to change, not the anime. Now we can dive into the character hate. First of all, there's this Yuta Slander going around saying he curses others to help him, the lack of chilling presence, or his ship in Maki says many love Yuta and Rika, and how he took all credit for, spoilers, killing Sukuna. But I can't believe that someone would still hate Yuta after the last episode. Yuta the GOAT cleared the game like drinking water. He's one of the only characters that we see actually care for others.
もう出てきて大丈夫ですよ。このまま北上して結界のヘリを目指しましょう。我慢してね。少し休憩しましょう。スタジアムは今倒したとても強い。
And how the narrative was talking about him.
ドルーブラクラバラ所持ポイント91点2度目の12区石郡龍所持ポイント7区暗殺部隊実月精神体隊長牛所持ポイント54点賢者同盟はなく拮抗した実力と錯奪した相性による三すくみの四つどもえだがその一角が落ちる乙骨雄太所持ポイント35点百鬼夜行を3ヶ月で特級術師へと返り咲いた五条悟に次ぐ現代の異能
That insane aura that Yuta had, that serious and calm face, and the absolute menacing presence of Rika.
おいで、リカ。全部だ。
How he used his curse technique and used his enemy's own curse techniques against them. The three domains at once. And how Yuta at the end walked up with 190 points. Although I didn't like that glove thing that Yuta was flying like Superman with. But whatever, this episode was amazing and Yuta is the GOAT. I don't accept any hate anymore. But the next character that has been getting a lot of hate is Kirara, and it's mostly about her gender. I'm just gonna say that it doesn't matter if you stand for LGBT community or you don't, because either ways, the story itself treats her as a woman. We can see Hakari clearly saying that he only likes girls and also other characters respecting her and using female pronouns. Either ways, you can call her a woman or a man or whatever you want, but when the story and the writer itself treats her as a woman, there isn't much you could really do about it. And now the biggest problem with this season, which is the Maki hate. There have been many issues with Maki. The story was rushed, the music and depths were bad, Maki won with blood, Maki is a Toji copy. To answer all of that, well, about depths and music and animation, it depends on the person's taste. As I said before, this season's animation is new in the anime industry, so many might not like the style and the vibe, but personally, I think it was great, and I absolutely enjoyed it. The music, the symbolism, the coloring, and all, I think it was good. But to say Maki lost the plot is a whole other thing. In the anime, it was explained why Maki's strength suddenly grew so much and how she managed to read through Naoya's movements. Some say Naoya lost because of arrogance and not because he's weaker. Well, that's like saying someone lost because they're smarter, not because they're stronger. Being smarter makes you stronger. Arrogance is a weakness, just like how high IQ is also an advantage, even though it's not a physical or magical power. Arrogance or fear or anger or any other part of a person's personality also play a role, and they are a disadvantage. So you can't put aside this advantage and say without it he would win. Well, of course without the disadvantage he would win. It would be weird if he didn't. Not just Naoya, but the rest. All of them were too arrogant. And some say Maki is a Toji copy. Well, yes, that is what the Zenin clan was screaming the whole episode. They kept comparing Maki and Toji to each other and saying how much they are alike. The writer also wrote them like that. The story is about how Maki chose a different path and decided to end it all, while Toji just left it all behind. The story says that even though how alike they are, Maki is not like Toji and she chose a different path. And if you say that Maki won with plot and you're also going to say that Maki is a Toji copy, then Toji must have won with plot as well. I don't understand any of the Maki hate. The episode was perfect, the character is perfect, and she's also stronger than Toji whether you like to admit it or not. Many have said that Toji would still win because of male genes and experience. Maki lived many years older than Toji and she practiced way more after Zenin Massacre, but the manga states that she's equal to Toji, so the experience argument isn't correct. And this is a show about magic and we're talking biology. If it was about male genes, then Yuki shouldn't have been a special grader. Also, there's this random, irrelevant thing about comparing Itachi and Maki. This is completely irrelevant. They are not two sides of the same coin. They are whole different worlds. Itachi was fighting in a war, and he had to do what he did to keep the peace at the age of 13, if I remember correctly. That was a more emotional move, something done for the sake of greater good, something that changed the story and the burden of the characters. If it didn't happen, the whole story would have been different. But the Zenin Massacre was totally a different thing. It was done out of revenge, it was done out of spite. It was more focused on fights. The reasons were different, how it was done was different, how they treated them was different, the actions were different. Itachi murdered the entire clan except for Sasuke. But Maki only killed men and her mother. They are both amazing, not that I'm saying one of them is bad, they are both amazing, but they are completely different with each other, they are not comparable. Honestly, I believe all of these are just Naoya lovers' conspiracies and I don't listen to any of them. JJK is not an emotional show. Spoilers, we didn't have a funeral for Gojo either. So don't expect it to focus on emotions very much, it definitely focuses more on fights, even in emotional scenes like Zenin Massacre. This season had cons like the animation change and some inconsistencies between the manga and the anime, but it also had odds like the animation change and some inconsistencies between the manga and the anime. But seriously, everything people hate on is actually one of the odds of this season. I think this season was fantastic. The fights were amazing, the animation, the cinematic, the depths, and the symbolism. The story's angle finally changed from Sukuna and Gojo to the main characters. The only thing I didn't like was that the season was too short and I hope it contained all the Culling Game arc. But still, the season was absolutely amazing. But what do you think? Tell me more about your opinion in the comments, and if you like this video and the painting, please don't forget to like and subscribe. Bye!